my blog, Buenos Aires to New York, and I'm basically going to be talking a little bit about doing business in South America for American entrepreneurs and expats who are trying to live in South America. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about different countries and different aspects of moving down there in my blog. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share a little bit of personal experience for myself going down there and working in two countries which I've done, a little bit of nonprofit volunteering work with and also an internship down there with another nonprofit. Um, and so pretty much let's just get into it. Latin America and the way they conduct business is very different, I think, in some aspects, at least socially and culturally, as opposed to the United States. And I think that's very clear in the fact that they have Latin culture, which is very different than American culture in some aspects. So some things that you might encounter down there might seem a little bit different to you as an American, or you might think of certain things as being slower, or kind of not the way Americans do business, and that's obviously part of the culture and part of the economic standing of a lot of these countries, and so that's something you got to take with a grain of salt when you go and move down there to do business. So, I mean, something that I think is pretty important going down to South America is relationships, at least in business. In America we have a lot of relationships in business, but most of them are very formal, very structured, and you might hang out with your colleagues and your coworkers at social, corporate functions, but it's not exactly necessary for you to go out and become best friends with them. Whereas in business in South America, a lot of the times, a lot of your business deals, you have to develop some kind of relationship or kind of friendship, not friendship, but some kind of mutual uh, uh, camaraderie with the people you're trying to do business with people you're trying to do ventures with. And if you look at some of my earlier blog posts, so there's a guy who was talking about how expats go crazy in Central America, and how like your business partners might be cool at first, but after a while, they start getting demanding and start trying to get you to get their family members in the business and things like that, and they just try and kind of use you in a sense. And that may happen. It does happen actually quite a lot. But at the same time, you have to remember it's all based down to the fact that a lot of people think, well, this guy seems like he knows what he's doing in business, so I'm just going to partner up with him. And they don't take the time to kind of find actually a legitimate business partner. This is why, relationships are so important down in South America. Just because of the fact that you can't just go in there and expect people to, people don't really separate a lot of their lives in business as much as they do up here. You got your work life in America, and then you got your business life, which is completely separate. You try not to keep your family and other things intermingled, unless it's a family-owned business or something like that. In Latin America, it's not like that. So a lot of people want, to include parts of their family in the business or to kind of bring in friends when they're not as qualified or skilled as other people you could find. So when you're, looking for, countries to go to, um, and people to partner with, it's important to keep that in mind. That relationships do matter quite a lot in Latin America. They matter a lot to the point where you need to be very careful and develop a relationship with someone before you think about partnering with them. That way you can see how they are, see what their personality is like, and kind of like I even ask people around who know them. I mean, what they're like personality-wise, because that can give you a better understanding of what they're going to be like. That way you don't get any bad surprises, because that's one of the big complaints a lot of Americans have, is that culturally, people down there act so differently, and they try and get these benefits for themselves and others, and it's just not. It's based on a misunderstanding of the person, and the fact that a lot of people are very willing to partner with an American down there. Um, that just doesn't mean that they're the best qualified person. Another complaint, a lot of people have is the difficulty is to set up a business in certain parts of Latin America. I know a lot of entrepreneurs go down there to do their own, start their own business. And me personally, I would not encourage that um, just off the bat, unless you're trying to do nonprofits. they're based in the U.S., not based down there, that have ventures there. I mean, that's one possibility, but like going down to Latin America, dark, just going in dark and setting up your whole operation is very can be very expensive sometimes. It can also be very expensive in the form of very time consuming and costly because governments down there generally aren't as a recipient to a lot of just fresh off the bat Americans who are trying to set up businesses. So there's a lot of legal paperwork, and unfortunately, there can be a lot of corruption that comes with it, where you have to pay a lot of extra side fees, side, pretty much what they are bribes, in order to get your business to be passed. Otherwise, it could take months or years, sometimes, to set up a business or something like that. And that's just based off the fact that there is in fact a lot of corruption in certain countries in Latin America. So that's something you need to take into account. I would recommend at least going down there and working for, I mean, at least a year, I'd say, at least 1 year before you consider building your own business. Because that's the trend I've noticed. A lot of Americans go down there and they just set up their business right off the bat, and they're like, oh, why is it, why is it so hard for me to do business down here? Why is it that like all these, these different bureau, you know, like the Federal Bureau of Business for those countries is like demanding all these fees and extra like bribes and things like that. Or they're just slowing down things and making it harder for me than it is for the natives. And a lot of questions like this that I see. And the thing is that like they honestly just don't understand the system completely when they go down there. They think it's just like the U.S. except people speak Spanish, and that's not the case at all. So I mean that's something you do need to take into account. And also, I mean, picking the right country and and its right economic standing is very important as well. Um, you know, the countries that I think are the best for business, that I would, personally look into going to work to, would be for entrepreneurs at least would be Chile and Uruguay. I've not been to Uruguay, but I've heard a lot of positive things about. But from different American businessmen who've been down there, I would say that people down there are a little bit different than the rest of Latin America. I've heard that Uruguay is a little bit colder than Argentina and other Latin cultures. Still Latin, obviously, but the people there tend to be very professional, very very business-like, and very business-friendly. And so that's something that take in mind. And Chile, I have been to, and Chile has a lot of finance and energy industries down there, like mining, oil and energy, finance, like I said. And I mean, it's a developed country, so they have a lot of different businesses down there and different segments you can work into. But I mean, if you're going to go down there, I honestly recommend working at least either with an American or foreign business working down there, or what I would think would be a better idea if you can get the visa for it would be to be partnered up with another company down down in Chile or wherever you wish to go, and work down there for at least a year to get a feel for how business goes. Because it's very different in a lot of ways, and in some ways it's similar, obviously, because I mean, as a society, we're becoming more and more globalized, especially in the business world, and now with digital trends and everything. It's a lot easier for people to share information and to get different business trends going. But at the same time, you have to understand a lot of these countries haven't developed as quickly as the U.S. has, and are still kind of catching up in a sense, at least economically. Um, so those are some of my thoughts on that. Also, I mean, immigration is an issue you might run into. I mean, I don't know. It depends. Um, some countries it's very hard to get citizenship to if you are Hispanic. Like myself, I can get citizenship into Guatemala, and depending on whichever countries you apply for, uh, your best bet would be to get a worker's visa, a visa where you can like legally work at least for a couple of years and get employed, get employed. And by doing that, you generally need a company or some kind of financial institution or organization to support you and say that you're coming down there to work for them. And so that's one way you can do it. Otherwise, I mean, it's like I said, being an entrepreneur is very hard down there, and you have to set up your company from the ground. You have to find a partner down there, which is one of the reasons why people have trouble with partners sometimes. Is because you just want to grab someone who can vouch for you and say, hey, this is my guy who's coming in to start a company with me. But if you can work for a company down there, they'll represent you and they'll fight for you to get the visa and to be able um, to be able to work down there and everything. So I think that's something that you should definitely take into mind. Those are just a few thoughts I have about working down there. I've summarized some of the stuff I've talked about in my blog earlier, and I'm gonna try and do a few more of these video posts. One where I can get someone on the phone and kind of interview them and get some of their thoughts on working in Latin America because there's a few people I know who work down there right now, and they have a lot of insight on the legal side and on the social side of how you do business in Latin America. And again, like I said, what I've talked about so far has been my own experiences, and based off the countries I've been to, based off the people I've talked to, both American and Latin American, and so it's not this goes for every country and every situation. Um, Even though Latin America has similar cultures as opposed to the United States, at the same time they're different countries. They have different cultures, different ways of thinking, different ways of doing business, and some countries are economically more prosperous or thriving better than others. So every country is different. Always keep that in mind when I post advice and videos like this. And yeah, thank you so much. So I'm just going to end this vlog and thank you for listening.